Hello and welcome back to Dee-licious. I'm Dee. Today we're going to be making some Italian buttercream. There are several different kinds of buttercream. You have the normal one that you would usually make, which is icing, sugar and butter. Swiss buttercream, you cook the egg whites and sugar together until they're up to a certain temperature. That's the word I'm looking for. Italian buttercream is slightly different to Swiss buttercream, but they both have the inclusion of egg white. This particular recipe, being as it's Italian buttercream, it's very similar. If you've tried my marshmallow recipe, it's quite a similar thing. It doesn't have the gelatin in it, but the heating up of the sugar syrup and then pouring it into the whisk, it's that sort of thing. It's a little bit more time consuming than a normal buttercream, but the payoff is, you will never, ever since I made this for the first time, I have never had the normal buttercream ever again. It's so smooth and rich and just ridiculously delightful. So, let me tell you what's going to go into our pan. We have 200 grams of sugar. If you want a white frosting, you need to use white sugar. If you're using a caramel cast, then by all means use brown instead, but it is going to affect the colour. You're going to need about 90 milliliters of water, and you're going to need 3 egg whites, just the egg white, not the yolk. You're also going to need, and this is where the luxurious bit comes in, a ½ pound of butter. Yes, ½ pound. It's a lot. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is tip our sugar and our water into our wheating pan. And you're going to need for this an extra little bit of kit. I've shown you this before, but every time I show it to you, I usually go, but I'm not going to be using this. This time I am, because with the Swiss and the Italian buttercreams, temperature is quite important. So you're going to need a sugar thermometer, and you're going to have to put this in right from the beginning, because if you don't put it in from the beginning, there is a worry that it might crack. So straight in at the same time, and you want to put that on the hob, and when it gets to about 200 degrees Fahrenheit, you want to start whipping your egg whites. You're going to need, well, I have a KitchenAid, so rather fantastically, I can just put them in here and forget about it. I've never used a handheld electric whisk, but I've no doubt that you could probably do it with that as well. But this is what I'm going to be using. So, we need to get this on the hob.
The rain is falling so seems so out of time, with no reason or rhyme, completely out of tune, my mood this afternoon.
Okay, so you want your temperature at, here it reads softball stage. This is 240 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's the temperature that you're aiming for. When you put your hot syrup into your egg whites, they are going to cook them, or at least temper them. So if you're worried about raw egg, don't worry. It's not raw. Where's that? We've got another 10 degrees to go.
The ripples become one, keep spreading on and on. When the sun comes out.
Okay, so we've reached our desired temperature. leave this on the side. This is hot. Don't put this straight into water. Leave it on the side. Wait for it to cool down. I'm not sure if I mentioned at the beginning of the video, but I'm making a half batch because I know that I'm only going to want a half batch for the particular cake that I'm making because it's much smaller than normal. So if you're looking to cover like an 8-inch cake, you're going to need twice this. Okay, so at this point you want to, whilst you're still beating your egg whites, you want to drizzle your hot syrup in to your egg whites slowly. Please be careful because it's very hot and we don't want this going everywhere. Okay, so you want to whip that together until it's at room temperature. It should be cool. You will have what appears to be a meringue, which is why it's Swiss meringue buttercream. I like at this point to just clean around the sides. You won't be able to get at this top bit because it will be hard, but just this softer bit underneath before I start to add butter. I quite like to just do this. Be careful that you don't accidentally knock some of the hard stuff into the hard sugar that's turned into candy practically into your mix. And now you want to start adding the butter, which should be room temperature, slowly at about a tablespoon a time. Again, you're going to be adding I don't remember if I told you how much to add now, did I? You're going to want to add 7 ounces. What's that in grams?
I'll find
I didn't
out.
look that up. Amy will insert how many grams that is. And you want to add that a little at a time, as I said.
I'm completely out of tune. My mood this afternoon.
Add the butter, you might find that it tries to separate. If it does, don't panic. Just keep it going fast and it will eventually firm up again.
And the worries will just melt away like a morning mist in the day.
Okay, and here's the finished product. Like I said, this is a half-sized recipe because I know exactly how much I'm going to be needing for my cake. It goes very stiff and it has a very light, fluffy, very smooth texture. It is just so silky, and you know, because it has all the butter in it, it's also extremely rich. If you're used to having a normal American butter icing, that is an extremely sweet, very sweet, and we all love that. But a Italian or a Swiss meringue buttercream is not as sweet. It's very rich because of the butter and it's lovely and silky smooth, but it doesn't have that intense sweetness of a American frosting. So bear that in mind if you try this recipe out, that it isn't going to have the same sweetness. But try if that's putting you off, please don't let it, because you know when you have the sweetness of the cake already on whatever filling that you're going to have on it. This adds something in it. You should definitely try it, and if you do, please let me know in the comments how it went. So at this point it is finished. It's cold to the touch. And you can add whatever flavour it is that you want to add to this. You can add some vanilla essence, or any essence in actual fact that you want. If you like, you can add like a seedless raspberry jam at this point to make a raspberry frosting. Lemon curd the same. So at this point, really it is up to you what flavour you want, and there are a million things that you can do with it. I am going to be making quite a few different cupcakes. So what I'm going to be doing is I will split it up and I'll split it into several different flavours. I hope that you try this recipe because it is a great deal of fun, and it isn't a hard recipe. It takes a little bit more time, but it is definitely worth it, and the texture on it is so beautiful. I'm into textures, so the texture on this is beautiful. One of my aunts hates buttercream frosting. I know, there's someone out there who does that. She will literally take the frosting off of her cake and put it on my plate because she doesn't like it. But she does like this Swiss or Italian buttercream frosting instead. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope that you try the recipe out, and I hope you like and subscribe. But in any case, thank you very much for watching.